Right, so I like to say Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shah, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shah, Bahashim Kahakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS, and salutations to you brothers out there that's doing this work in truth and sincerity. Ezekiel 35 and 1. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus saith the Lord power, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and have shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, and the time that their iniquity had an end. So what you need to understand too is that this hatred has been since the beginning, since Esau and Jacob have been in the womb, and I brought this up Saturday as well, when a brother Shamar was going into it. In the beginning, he was going into the hatred that Esau had for you, that Esau have not had for Esau have against you Israelites, right? So let's start here. This is Genesis 25, and we'll start at let's start at 21. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him. And Rebekah his wife conceived, and the children struggled together within her. And she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord said unto her, Two nations are in thy womb. So this is two nations, right? Not the same nation, but two nations. So this is already letting you know that the Lord had put a separation between these two two children that is inside Rebekah's womb. And it says, And the Lord said unto her, Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other. So the one people that is stronger than the other is Jacob is stronger than Esau. Now, how is that? Well, look at boxing. Look at any type of sports, right? Look at any of those things, and it proves that Jake is stronger than Esau. Esau is on no level as Jake. Esau being a so-called white man whose lineage goes back to Esau Edom, and Jake being the so-called black Hispanics and Native Americans whose lineage goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So it says, And the elder shall serve the younger. The elder being Esau shall serve Jacob. Now you'll scratch your head and say, well, why isn't Esau serving Jacob? Why did Jacob go into captivity under Esau? Why? Because Jacob broke the law, statutes, commandments. Go into the book of Isaiah, chapter 5, verse 13, I believe. And it says, You have went into captivity because you have no knowledge. So the Most High have brought the base man above his chosen. So let's keep going. And it says, And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment. Now, why are they describing Esau as red like a hairy garment? Because if you go to the birth of a so-called white baby, it comes out red, right? Matter of fact, let's get that. So you could pretty much see here, and you could go to different images of so-called, white babies. I mean, so-called white babies. When the woman have given birth, the baby blood shows forth through its skin, and that's why it's the baby's red. That was something that um that was a good image too, but I think I skipped it, Salakia. But of the so-called black woman who had a dark-skinned baby and the so-called white baby. I had the image up, but I think I bagged out of it. But it was something that was said. If you watch the second movie, Blade, and the guy asked Blade, he said, "Can you blush?" Right? The reason why he said, "Can you blush?" is because so-called black people can't blush. If you have a dark skin color, when you go to blush, your cheeks don't go red because you have a lot of melon. But so-called white people, when they show forth different emotions, they turn red. They even have something that you call red necks, right? Because their blood shows forth through their skin. So instead of them going around calling themselves, red this, red that, they put the name upon them white people. White people. So they're describing the pale skin tone that they have, which really the Bible described them as being red. So it says, and the first came out red all over like an hairy garment. And they call his name Esau. So that's what you got to understand, is that Esau still exists to this very day. Now, every so-called white person not every so-called white person goes back to the lineage of Esau, but a majority of them do. So it says, and after that came his brother out. And the reason why they didn't describe Jacob is because the skin tone of Jacob looked like everybody else's. He was a dark-skinned baby. Esau came out red because his blood shows forth through his skin, and Jacob came out a dark-skinned baby. That's why they didn't describe him. So it says, and after that came out his Salakia, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel. That's symbolic for Jacob taking down Esau, because the Lord said that matter of fact, let me get it. We're gonna come back to this. That's in the book of Ezekiel, Salakia. Ezekiel. It's either 24:12 or 25:12. It's 25:12, Salakia. So 25:12, it says, "Thus saith the Lord power, because that Edom have dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, and have greatly offended, and revenge himself upon them. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom, and I will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate from Teman, and they of the Dan shall fall by the sword. And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel. And they shall do in Edom," which Edom goes back to Adawam, which means red, "according to my anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith the Lord power." So there you go. So Esau is going to be taken down by Yahweh, through Yahweh Shai, by way of his men, which are the elect of Israel. So going back to this, Genesis 25 and 26, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, right? Which is symbolic for the taking of down of Esau. And his name was called Jacob, and Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. Right? It says, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter. Go to Walmart, look at your magazines. Who you gonna see on there with deer heads on their walls, with bear skins on their floors? Esau Edom, man. Come on, man. Come on now. And it says, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. And Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents, and that's what Jacob do. Oh man, let's go hang out at the crib. Let's go chill at the crib. That's what Jacob do. Just just always dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. So, ultimately, this is just what it goes back to. Since the beginning, that hatred was always there. So when we go here to the book of Genesis 27 and what is that, 30, 37? Right, so I really want to just go into the blessing right here. So this is Genesis 27. I mean, not the blessing, but this right here. So Genesis 27 and 40. And by the sword shall thy live, which is, the blessing. So I'll read it. And by the sword shall thy live, and shall serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then would I slay my brother Jacob. So that hatred is still here to this very day, man. And you so-called black Hispanics and Native Americans are consistently being gunned down and hung and killed by your enemies, who you want to dwell amongst for another 100 years, which is madness, right? So going back to this Ezekiel 35. So Ezekiel 35 and 4, and it says, I start back at 3. And say unto it, thus saith the Lord power, behold, Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and have shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, and the time of their calamity, and the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Says, thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee, because death is coming for you, Edomites. The scriptures tell you in Obadiah 1 and 18, it says, matter of fact, let me get it. Obadiah 1, and I believe that's 18. Let's see. Right. Obadiah 1 and 18. I start at 17. And it says, but upon Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. So this is a prophecy, right, that haven't come to pass yet, right? So it says, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. It says, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. So Esau's, after his 1,000-year captivity, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is going to be wiped off the face of the earth. You're just going to be gathered up and burnt up, man. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plain, the Palestines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim, and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead. But that's pretty much all I wanted was verse 18, man. Right? So let's go back to Ezekiel 35. Ezekiel 35 and 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and have shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, and the time of their calamity, and the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Saith, thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountains with his slain men, in thy hills, and in thy valleys, and in thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. And I will make thee perpetually desolate, desolation, and thy cities shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. Because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there, Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord power, I will even do according to thy anger, and according to thy envy which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them, and I will make myself known among them when I have judged thee. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord, and that I have heard all thy blasphemies which thou hast spoken against the mountains of Israel, saying, they are laid desolate, they are given us to consume. Thus with your mouth ye have boasted against me, and have multiplied your words against me, and I have heard them. And the crazy thing is, man, the way the Most High have done this, you have already been ordained to be destroyed, man, or predestined to be destroyed. When you go into the book of Romans, the 9th chapter, it pretty much tell you that I have made one for honor, which was Jacob, and one for dishonor. So your judgment have already been set. The only thing is that we're playing out this fucking dream. We're playing out this dream. That's all we're doing. Or you could call it a movie. We're playing out this movie, right? Everybody got their script. Everybody doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then after that, the Most High is going to end the movie. Right? So as of right now, we just plan out the whole thing. And then before you know it, that's it. Right? These devils are going to be destroyed. They're going to be consumed. So 13, thus with your mouth ye have boasted against me, and have multiplied your words against me. I have heard them. Thus saith the Lord power, when the whole earth rejoices, I will make thee desolate. Woo! As thou see how the Lord love everybody. The Lord is literally telling you that he's going to make Esau, Edom, desolate, man. As thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate, so will I do unto thee. Thou shalt be desolate, O Mount Seir, and all Idumea, even all of it, and they shall know that I am the Lord. But other than that, Lord willing, this was edifying. I like to say, Barakatah Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, Shalom.